What's poppin'? This Mellow back at you with another video. Today I got something special for you. Somebody you probably never heard of, Matt Walsh. We got a video from Matt Walsh. Now I was going to basically respond. I was going to do a video towards some of the comments bringing up rap in this whole Jason Aldean discussion. But I just found this juicy ass shit and I haven't watched more than 30 seconds of it. I actually have a little bit more, but I haven't watched the whole thing. So we're going to dive into this and you're going to get a reaction video from me. So let's get into it.
You've probably noticed the music industry is a degenerate wasteland full of semi-literate drug addicts who spew vulgarity and ugliness all over the culture like a never-ending stream of projectile vomit. For just one example, of course, one of the most talked about songs of the summer called Pound Town has the performer Sexy Red graphically describing her various orifices in the very first lines of the song, and it's all downhill from there. This is what passes for music in modern times, and if you criticize any of it, if you object to any of this filth, no matter how aggressively disgusting, stupid, and morally deranged it is, you are dismissed as a prude. If you do not want these morons and perverts to dump this audible sewage directly into your child's eardrums, then you're nothing more than a fainting church lady clutching your pearls.
Now let's start there. First off, you know, he's reading off a teleprompter and shit like that. Just very corny. You know, it like all the wording, you can tell none of it is authentic. Projectile vomit, like he's reading. Just understand this is not coming from an authentic place. Inauthentic. Let's just get that out the way. The first thing I want to discuss as far as what he mentioned, shout out to Sexy Red, you know, the Pound Town, and it is so bad and that you can't criticize it. This is the thing about that. You know, the first thing is, it's not made, this music, it's not made for Matt Walsh. It's not made for the people from Matt Walsh's community. It's not marketed to Matt Walsh and his kids. Let's just keep it 500,000. So let's get that out the way. The second thing is, it's not marketed to kids, but we'll discuss that in a moment. The other thing is when it comes to this criticism, because again, this is not music made for them. This is not music played in the restaurants they be at. It's not music for their community. We know what it is. We know what it is. They don't really care about this stuff until it's time to make a political point. They do not care about this music at all. They don't care about any aspect of it until it's time to make a point. Case in point, two examples. Cardi B, when she let out WAP, all them politicians said, you know what, this is a slam dunk layup. It's a slow news day. Let's get some clout. Let's get some clout and criticize Cardi B for WAP. All they were doing, and this is the truth, all they were doing were pandering to people who already don't like and listen to the music, conservatives, for political brownie points. That's it. That's it. That's all that was. Now, what Matt Walsh is doing, he's bringing this up as far as Sexy Red and just all of this rap music that he probably going to talk about. I haven't watched the whole video, but he's bringing up Sexy Red and Pound Town just to try and deflect from whatever Jason Aldean has going on. Because outside of this Jason Aldean situation, you would not see Matt Walsh talking about Pound Town. You just wouldn't. Now, this is the other thing. When it comes to this whole pumping directly into our kids, like I mentioned earlier, it's not made for or marketed to kids. If your kids are consuming this content, you have a parental issue. You have an issue to where you cannot control the content that your kids is consuming. Now, if that's an issue for you, I guarantee you it doesn't start and stop at rap music. It doesn't start at Pound Town and end in Pound Town. So if you have that going on, Matt Walsh, if your kids is listening to Pound Town, you got some parental control issues that you need to go into these apps and resolve. And you may have to figure out other ways to monitor your kids better from consuming adult content. Let's continue.
Okay, so just to review, Aldean is directing this at those who sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk, carjack an old lady at a red light, or pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. And warning that if they behave this way in a small town, they won't make it down the road because, as he says, folks in small towns take care of their own and don't put up with that kind of nonsense. Now, as someone who lived in a town of fewer than 3,000 before moving to Nashville, I can confirm that this is basically how it works in my experience in small towns. Where I lived, I never heard of anyone getting carjacked or sucker punched on a sidewalk. Violent crime was virtually non-existent. And this was all not in spite of, but at least partially because everybody legally owned multiple firearms.
See, this is where we get to the bullshit. He knows why there was no crime out there. Carjackings and all that stuff. It does. Most of the crime that happens in cities. That's just what it is. Cities have high crime. Rural towns of fucking 3,000 don't have crime. That's just what it is. Let's keep it going, man.
These were not the sorts of people you wanted to carjack or randomly assault on the sidewalk, which is why that sort of thing rarely, if ever, happened. That's what Jason Aldean was trying to convey in his song, along with conveying that there's a sense of community that you can find in a lot of these towns that oftentimes you don't find in the bigger cities, which is also, in my experience, true.
No. See, that's the bullshit. What Jason Aldean was trying to paint a picture of, or the point he was trying to make was, you city slickers come down here and do that crime, we're gonna smoke you. We're gonna put two hot ones in your ass. That's what the fuck this shit is. And it's basically, if you want to be honest, this is what it really is. This is what the song is insinuating. If you come here and do the disrespectful stuff that you do in the city, we're going to kill you. And this is the thing about this song as well, because he's pandering the cops with the Bud Light, like, the old, well, put your middle finger in the cop face and spit on him. You won't make it down the road. He's not insinuating that you're not going to make it down the road because you're going to be in prison. He's insinuating that you're going to die. Now, that's something that you could debate, but when it comes to this stuff, we just got to keep it 500,000. You could say conservatives and all that shit. I'm not one of these channels that's trying to be like a political figure or nothing like that. When we talk about racist white people, especially we're talking about covert racist white people, they do the dog whistle shit so that they can pretty much have an angle where they can deny everything. They give themselves that room of deniability by being vague. You've heard of sundown towns and stuff like that. That's the vibe that this song and some of the lyrics give off. And on top of all of that, he's standing in front of a building where a black man was historically lynched. That's just what it is.
Jason Aldean catches heat for racist pro-gun lyrics, a modern lynching song. The outlet claims that the song is not just a statement of Aldean's personal politics, but a disturbing call to arms, quote unquote. They accuse the singer of, quote, suggesting that he's gearing up for a race war. And by the way, their evidence for that accusation, that he mentions a race war in the song, is they quote this lyric from the song. Got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're going to round up. So the Daily Beast sees a race war in that line somehow.
I can't wait to hear what you're about to say. I'm going to leave some room to respond. But that's a lyric that implies violence. They're going to round up one day. They're going to round up one day. I got a pistol from my grandpa. He says, like, come on, man. Come on, man. Let's see what he got to say.
I don't see it, but I guess this is like the leftist version of finding Jesus in a piece of toast. I don't know.
And see, that's how come you can't have, like, listen, I'm going to keep it real with you. For my people, You cannot expect to have an honest conversation, an unbiased conversation, a conversation of understanding or anything like that with a covert racist. You just can't. I'm not doing all the conservative. I'm not doing all that shit. I don't give a fuck about that because most of the content on this channel is not going to be this type of content. So if like some fucking country fans come and get mad, I don't give a fuck. Don't give a fuck. Because this is dog whistle racism, covert bullshit. And of course he can't see it. And that's the easiest. He can't just flat out debunk it because the evidence is there. The implication is there. The only thing he could say is, I don't get it. That's it. He's full of shit. That's all you need to know. He's full of shit. Let's keep going.
Now, he also stipulates that this song is not about race and does not promote lynching. These stipulations are totally unnecessary because everybody already knows that the accusations are completely absurd and meritless. The people making the accusations especially know it. In fact, if you immediately assume that lyrics condemning carjackings and random assaults are racist and anti-black, then you have revealed something about your own feelings and assumptions about black people. Okay, if somebody says, I hate carjackings, and you say, well, what do you got against black people? You've admitted something about yourself. It's like if I said, man, I can't stand the lazy, smelly weirdos, and you said, hey, what's wrong with Mexicans?
That's the shit I love. I love that right there. Because it speaks to everything I've been speaking about the whole time. They give themselves that wiggle room so that they don't have to take accountability and they can dodge the dog whistle shit that they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. He knows exactly what's going on. These same people, Matt Walsh, these are the same people who say, well, what about black on black crime? And they come with all these crime statistics about how bad black people are. These are the same people. When it's convenient, we are the scum of America to these people. But now when this video drops, well, you're racist if you think only black people rob. You're racist if you think this is geared towards black people. It says something about you. Look at the psyche of these people. And now look at them trying to flip it like that's not what they believe and that's not what this is geared towards. Very funny.
Now, with all that said, I must admit that there are some gratuitously violent lyrics in Jason Aldean's song. Okay, we didn't play them for you, so it's a little bit offensive, but listen to these lines from the song. I got some homies with pounds, but we ain't that cool, so I'm thinking about robbery. Got to play this shit smart. It's going to hurt their heart when they find out that it was me that was robbing them. Got to catch him when it's dark, going to run up on his car, that same one we always be riding in. Ran up to his car, made him grab the wheel. I grabbed his neck like I'm Iron Man. Just do what I say. No, you don't want to die in here. If you reach or you tweak, I'm a fire in here. Whew, wow. Really violent stuff from Jason Aldean. Oh, wait, no, that's not Jason Aldean. I'm sorry. That's not Jason Aldean at all. That's one of the top rap songs on YouTube right now from a rapper named King Von. This is actually a posthumous song from the artist who was tragically killed in a gang shooting a few years ago. Before his death, he had been implicated in up to 10 different homicides, okay? He's a rap artist with hit songs, including one right now after he died, implicated in 10 homicides. So he was potentially an actual serial killer with a music video that has 10 times the number of views as Jason Aldean's song right now. But Jason Aldean is the problem somehow. He's the one we're worried about. King Von is not a unique case. The rap genre is obviously full of actual violent criminals who openly glorify murder, drug abuse, rape, robbery, all manner of violent crime. They directly call on their fans to engage in this behavior, and their fans respond accordingly. They have particular influence over fatherless inner city kids who they coax down a road of lawlessness and self-destruction. This is what you get in rap music, which is why every year, or sometimes multiple times a year, rappers end up lying in the gutter, bleeding out as the lifestyle they promote comes back to destroy them. Meanwhile, we're still waiting, as far as I know, for the first country artist to be killed in a gang shooting. It doesn't happen because country artists aren't the problem.
So we come full circle where I was waiting for him to go because, of course, this is all predictable. First off, let's get this out the way, man. Everybody who on the channel knows I don't condone the street shit. I'm not supportive of it. None of that. The criminal activity, none of that. I condemn rappers for the street activity they engage in. So I'm not the guy to come at like, well, you support the... No. But there are a few things to address as far as this. The first thing is that a point I already mentioned, these people he doesn't give a fuck about King Von or any of the rappers that died or anything like that. This is just a point to bring up to defend some racist shit. That's it. The second thing is, he doesn't get the difference between rap music, as far as violent rap music, and a song that incites racial violence. This is the thing about this. Like, we could sit here and have a conversation about drill music. Regular gangster rap music, it influences our youth. That's a fact. When it comes to drill music, it actually incites real violence within the communities it happens in. That's a fact. That is an actual issue that has to be addressed, and it has to be rectified in some way. Those are all facts. Now, the one thing before I go to the countryside that I have to say is this is disingenuous. I already mentioned why, because it's just used as a deflection, but also because Matt Walsh doesn't give a fuck about what's going on in our communities. The only time people like Matt Walsh care about what's going on in our communities is when they can leverage it in a debate or an argument to either pander or deflect from some racist shit. That's it. He's not doing no stop the violence rallies. He's not donating to no motherfucking, like, nothing is gonna stop this shit. He's not putting feet to the floor in the hood to get motherfuckers to stop selling drugs or nothing like that. He's not contributing in any significant way, and he doesn't really give a fuck about these issues until it's time to do what he's doing now. But let's get to the countryside of this. This song is pandering to, air quotes, conservatives, pandering to conservatives. But guess who else is pandering to? Racist cops. I'm not going to go deep. I'm going to just lay it out real flat. The difference between a criminal and a cop, as far as a racist cop specifically, I'm not against cops altogether, but the difference between a criminal and a racist cop is that a criminal, if caught, is going to go to jail. If a criminal goes out and murders somebody, he's going to go to jail. He's going to be convicted in most cases, if the proof is there and everything is there. And that's what it's going to be. Justice is going to hold the criminal accountable. When it comes to the justice system and racist cops, they impose their will, kill us unarmed, get paid vacations. You see it all the time. I don't even got to break that down. Let's continue.
Of course, the crucial difference between Try That in a Small Town and a song like Robberies or FNF, whatever it's called, aside from the fact that Jason Aldean can read above a third grade level, is that in the former case, if the artist is advocating for any form of violence, he's advocating for violence in self-defense or in defense of the innocent against predators. But in your typical rap song, violence is advocated against anybody and everybody, not for the sake of defending yourself or your community, but for the sake of profit or settling a score with someone from a rival gang or proving how tough you are, etc.
He full of shit. And it's just like, we've hit the end point. It's not really advocating for self-defense. It's advocating for protection against people you think are unruly or criminals, which that sounds good, right? But when you look at somebody like Ahmaud Arbery, or you look at somebody like George Zimmerman, what they do is they target black people who are minding their business because they have negative feelings about black people. They think they're all criminals and all of that stuff. That's how they really feel. That's how come this whole, like, oh, well, are you saying black people are criminal? It's funny because in reality, that's what you think. You're just not going to say it. And the people who think it are not going to say it on platforms and things like that. But the people who think it and are willing to act on it, and it becomes apparent after somebody's murdered. But shout out to just what it is. Shout out to Sheryl Crow. Shout out to Perez Hilton. Shout out to all the news outlets that held it down. Shout out to the liberals. The liberals that fought against, all this racism that's going on with this. Just shout out to them. Just shout out to them because they held it down. And that's what it is. I seen some of y'all takes and I'm disappointed in you. I'll just say that. I know I know this ain't a heavy channel, but if it ever blow up, I seen your take, I'm disappointed in you. As far as Jason Aldean, this is the last thing I'm going to say, man. I don't got much to say about dude. I heard that, he made this small town, but he's really from Macon, Georgia, which has like 153,000 population. Very, 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 very far from a small town, I could be wrong, though, because, I didn't fact check that or nothing. Just keeping it 500,000. But the one thing I do know, when I look in these comments, this is what a lot of the comments is saying. I wasn't a Jason Aldean fan before his, but boy, I'm a fan now. That's one of the common comments. The other one is, I don't like modern country music at all, but I went and bought this. I downloaded it. I paid the $1. That's what you're seeing, dog. So, I ain't checked the sales or nothing like that. He was probably up before this. This is going to have him even more up. It is what it is, man. But again, shout out to the people who held it down. And to you hip hop commentators that was, fucking with this. That's nuts. I'm out.